Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the We Weekly Free podcast. Now, we have had some gigantic episodes, but have we had gigantic guests? Well, we have today. We have Will Cattrell, who is 6'9" and an amazing artist.
Thank you.
Even greater artist, I'd say.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on today. And we also have the co-host, John.
Hi, pleasure to be on the...
Kind of did him dirty there, didn't I? But nice to see you, Will. How are you doing today?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Yeah, feeling good?
Yeah,
one.
Good.
How's Leicester doing?
It's so mean. I thought we discussed that we weren't going to discuss it. No, I'm joking. Well, Leicester City are going down, aren't they? They're, what is it, 3 teams that have been promoted have never gone down since last year, and now it looks like that's going to repeat. And you look at our points, we're sort of like, I think we're on 17, Ipswich are on 19, then Wolves are on 23, and then everyone's in the 30s suddenly. So like, the only team we can even hope to leapfrog is Wolves. And they probably did us a favour by Matthias Cunha going absolutely postal in that FA Cup game.
Absolutely.
I can't believe that, So weird, like everyone's just like, Matthias Cunha is just like, they're one of the best. He'll be at Barcelona or Real Madrid, and then
in a few years,
and then just suddenly just loses his rag like that. It's just like, what the hell, But anyway, that is our situation. I think West Ham are the next ones, aren't they? Or something. It's not good. I don't think Leicester, Ipswich or Southampton are necessarily playing badly.
No.
They're just
not good,
probably a bit too much championship-y still for sort of like, the Prem. And all those teams that you would expect to sort of like do well against are doing well themselves. So like your Bournemouths, your Brightons, Everton have like had new life breathed into them since like Moyes went back. And so all those people that you banked on not doing so well and being around you, they're all up there. Fulham are playing really well. I can't think of who else. I suppose as well, all the teams you expect to be down, up, are down.
Yeah.
You've got Tottenham and Man U in that sort of like area, and you're just like, wow. Yeah, it's really tough league, very tough league.
Absolutely. Totally agree. You've got. I just think that when you come from the Championship, sometimes with some teams, there's that clear divide, for sure. And sometimes you can play cracking football that beats all the rest in division below, but it's just not quite good enough for the league above. I look at teams like Sheffield United, who are
just thinking about them as well.
They were just too good for the Championship, but not good enough for the Prem at all.
Yes.
And I remember the Imps played them, and that's our claim to fame, innit, John?
Well, since the cup runs,
Do you know what's mental? The last time Leicester and Lincoln played, was pre-season for the year you won the league.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you set us up.
Yeah, probably. We started that good run for you.
Yeah.
I think that was a competitive game as well, wasn't it?
It was.
I could have sworn it was like 2-1. Might be wrong.
3-1, but we went 1-0 up. Alan Power penalty.
And the team that they put out was Jamie Vardy, Kramaric, Riyad Mahrez.
Wow.
Kasper Schmeichel,
Danny Drinkwater.
It's nearly full strength.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Mark Albrighton. Richie Delight was playing as well.
I say.
Yeah.
Richie Delight.
Yeah. Kasper Schmeichel as well.
Yes.
Where's Morgan at the back?
Some team that was. Claudio Ranieri at Sinsel Bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Mental.
Absolutely. What a year that was for us. But, going back to what you were saying before, I remember when, Sheffield United got promoted under Bremner, wasn't it? I think that's the only way you can make any impact. If you come in and just punch everyone in the throat and they're like, what, where are these people coming from? Before you know it, you've got safety points and stuff like that. And then, it's always that 3-tier thing with anyone that's being promoted, isn't it? You get promoted, you've got to scrap and get everything that you can and all that sort of thing. And then in season 2, everyone's seen what you do in season 1, so they're ready for you then.
Yeah.
So then that's the next challenge, and then if you can like weather that challenge, then it's then you can sort of like say, we belong here, you know, like your Brightons and you know, people like that, because they were nowhere. I remember Brighton were just nowhere. You know, I remember before they had the Amex, you know, it's like, you know, watching them, it's like, you know, like going to watch like a Sunday team or something like that, like a couple of stands, but everyone just like behind the white railing, like, go on. You know?
I can remember that. Do you remember when we beat them, John?
We've got history against Brighton, yes. So we played them in the FA Cup on our way to the Cup quarter-finals of the National League club.
We got promoted in that year.
Same season, they came to us in the 4th round. We beat Ipswich in a 3rd round replay, and the reward was a home game against Brighton. And they came to Sinsel Bank. I think they took the lead as well, didn't they? Or did we take the lead and then they equalised? They took the lead. Richie Towell, they brought Glenn Murray, Fikayo Tomori. It was his, I think it was his first start in senior men's football, and he scored an own goal. And
there was a famous moment in the actual match where the Brighton fan Josh, I think his name was vlogging, and then there was an old man in the crowd. He's like, "Fuck off back to Chelsea, you can!" After he scored the own goal, and I just think, I bet he wishes he was defender now for Brighton. Because he's just so... I just think that's the weird stories of football. It's so really strange. He's gone from scoring own goals at Sinsel Bank to...
Champions League nights of Milan and Chelsea. And
England caps
and won the goals for Chelsea.
Who's this you're talking about?
Fikayo Tomori.
Yeah,
it was his first, I think it was his first start in men's football. And he comes to Sinsel Bank and he scores an own goal. So,
well, he got off from that, didn't he? Do you know what I mean?
But that was a fantastic day for the club. Obviously being historical, and Brighton themselves went up that season. I think they went up to the Premier League, and we were obviously fighting for promotion ourselves in the conference. So, yeah, the gaps remained the same ever since, mainly, and then they've stayed in the Prem, and we've risen up the leagues a little bit, and we haven't played them since. But maybe one day.
It's interesting, those sort of things about like players, you know, like look where they are now, sort of thing. I mean, it goes both ways, doesn't it? You know, I mean, the conversation I keep having at the moment is like, Grealish, should they just let him go and be a player again? You know, and you know, like Donny van de Beek at United, and you know, it's just like he's really happy now. But it just reminds me of that. There's like a famous photograph of like Leicester manager Nigel Pearson, like, you know, shouting, and behind him is Harry Kane and Vardy on the bench. And you know, it's always, you know, we were saying about like playing Leicester when we won the league and stuff like that.
It's not a coincidence. I mean, you look at these players who go elsewhere, like Marcus Rashford's doing well for Aston Villa at the minute, and these players like go elsewhere. They leave like United or Chelsea, clubs that are in a bit of a mess.
Look at Jesse Lingard at West Ham.
They go away.
He should have signed for West Ham that season.
I agree.
But he thought, oh no, I'll go back to Man U, get a place. And it's just like. And then he signed and it was too late. You know, the bubble had burst by then.
That form had just...
Really good player though.
His confidence. Yeah, absolutely. He was in his prime, wasn't he? Same with Dele Alli. In his prime, he scored beautiful goals. I remember watching for England. Originally an MK Dons player.
Yes.
Great players, so they were.
I think the thing is, though, that if a player's playing for a club that's in turmoil, like your Man Uniteds and your Chelseas, and they go away and they impress, I think that says a lot more on the clubs than it says on the players. Because you look at these players like Donny van de Beek and all that, Marcus Rashford, these players going away, unperforming, and you think, well, it's not really these players that the media makes it out that it's the players, but at the end of the day, it's not. There's deeper problems at the clubs.
Yeah. Expectations and stuff like that, you know, especially with like United, you know, they're living on their past days, you know, with like Neville and what's the Irish guy called?
Roy Keane.
Roy Keane, thank you. How dare you forget Roy Keane? You're going to hell for that.
No, he's coming for you now.
But like, it's just like, I think I'd like that perversely. Just like, go on, say it to me, Roy. It's a job. Why are you not doing artwork? And sorry. You big baby.
You're not Bruno Fernandes, so you'll be all right. You'll get away with that one.
Bruno.
So speaking of which, you just mentioned your career. You've been an artist, haven't you, Will, for many of years, and you came here to Lincoln College to do art.
Yep.
What kind of brought you into art? What was the main driving factor of art itself, and is there any great challenges that you've overcome in art?
Yeah, wow, lots. Yes. So currently, I was here for 3 years. Did very well. Just gone to university. Wasn't really for me. I knew I didn't really want to go, and then as I was there, it just cemented the fact that I shouldn't be there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think the big problem I struggled with there was I was like, I'll stay. I'll go. No, don't waste the money. All right, we'll stay. Oh, fuck this, let's go. I fucking hate it. And it was just living in that umming and ahhing thing. That's what gave me the anxiety. As soon as I picked one or the other, which in this case was to leave, just the sun came out, the clouds went away. It was amazing. So that's one thing. I think because doing art, because there's no clear job at the end of it, or any clear direction. It's sort of like, you're an artist in the world, and you're sort of like meant to feel things, and then you're meant to be like this cocktail shaker of like the world, subjects, feelings, the creative force from the universe, go onto the canvas, and it's sort of like, there's no planning for that. I mean, you can keep practicing and stuff like that, but there's no planning. So we live in like this sort of a Western world where like you want to know where your money's coming from, so your house and your car and your family and all that have been paid for and stuff like that. Whereas an artist doesn't have any of those luxuries unless they've been discovered, that's quite difficult because you can sort of like start thinking like art's not really sort of like worth doing and stuff like that, and I think it's definitely a thing where you have to have like lots of plates spinning. It's just not just like this is my job and stuff. It's just like, you're like, well, I do art for me, and then I'll do art that I know will sell, and then I might stack shelves in Tesco or something like that, and stuff like. You just have to accept that. I think obviously I'm 48 now and I'm sort of doing art, but I didn't believe in myself when I was younger. I looked at other kids that were better than me, and you don't realise when you're a kid that kids are all pricks, and they're sort of like, they're not going to sort of like, I know you boys are lovely, and you're a supportive guy and all that sort of George, but like kids are sort of like, you're a bit shit, they'd say those sort of things, and you'd be like, oh, maybe I am, and stuff like that. And if you had like little bits of confidence knocked, from life and all that sort of thing, don't forget I grew up in the era where kids got like pasted for like, anything. You broke a window, whack. You're late for dinner, whack. Don't talk to me like that, whack. Get your elbows off the table, whack. And stuff like that. So you're sort of like, creative people are sensitive, so like you go into the world and you're tougher because of that, but like also guarded because of that, and then it's
do you feel as though, like, because you've obviously put things out there and you've faced criticism, I'm sure you've faced a lot of praise too, do you feel that it sometimes puts you on a bit of the defensive already, like you're on guard with people already?
It's funny you mention that. Actually, I was talking about that yesterday because people are always like saying like, "Oh, you're an artist. Don't care what people think. They don't understand," and stuff like that. But quite rightly, as you say, you're sort of like you're the cocktail shaker, like mixing all these ideas together, and then poof, comes you. You're not just you. There's the creative force that flows through artists, writers, actors, all that sort of thing. But it's an impression of you. So you can't get away from the fact that like that's your art out there, and you're sort of like going, I like it. What do you think? And you're like, it's a bit shit, mate. I like Picasso stuff, and you're like, whatever. And I don't think you can help to feel sort of like a bit on display, sort of thing, and I suppose it's your resilience to like how naked you are on display and stuff like that. I think after a while, if you just keep plugging away at it, and stuff like that, that is the secret. And then people will like your stuff, and that'll be enough that like the people that you like, that like your stuff, and you respect them and what they do and stuff like that. And so then if there's any naysayers out there, I suppose it's like comedians, they get hecklers, but they know they're they're sort of, I'm an 8 out of 10 cats. Why do I care what you think, mate? You know, it's
getting money.
Yeah, exactly.
Moolah, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely. We're all at that age. I mean, both of us are at that age where we're definitely like deciding, and like if there's any advice that you would give to us two looking back at your life, like what would you say would be the advice for two lads, you know, who, I mean, I know John's a bit unsure at the moment because you've got sport, but then you've got also media that you want to pursue. Yes. What's your advice to John?
What sport are you? What's that all about?
So I'm currently doing a level 2 sports coaching. Well, it's a bit of everything, but mainly sports coaching.
Yeah.
But I'm also weighing up my options. So coaching and physio is an option. Another option that I'm looking to do is media, and I'm looking to get into sort of like football journalism, down that route.
Yeah.
Maybe university in the future potentially, but at the moment I've got a few years where I can stay, and I'm just looking at what I can do in the meantime and what I can learn from doing media here, hopefully.
Yeah, nice. Well, they're two good choices.
Thanks.
You know, I know people that are sort of like sports masseurs, physiotherapists. I mean, obviously, you know, as George knows, I had my hip repaired and stuff, so I've seen a lot of physios. Yeah. And it does seem that, like, you know, if you get on it and you get your business model right, you can have like a good little business. You know, do like sports massage, get on the table, all that sort of thing. I don't know much about the media thing. I think with the university, it's difficult, you know, like generationally we're different. You're more of the sort of like the going to university age, you know, whereas for me, there just seems to be too much of a divide, you know, and I definitely sense of like how much things have changed generationally, you know, and whilst I support every human on this planet and stuff like that, I think sort of like for me at uni, it went like so lefty woke that it actually, I'm like a proper liberal. I try and keep myself in the middle, you know, a bit blue and a bit red, and I think like everyone should try and achieve that balance. So like, you know, it's like if it's too much fashion, it'll snap back and like maybe overshoot the runway and go into leftyism before it sort of like comes back. And I feel that in schools and stuff, you know, there's I don't know, it's like a weird agenda, but I don't want to sort of like, you know, go too much on that. It just might be because I'm a different generation.
Yeah,
you know,
your generation sees it a bit differently from, you know, sort of generation we're in. But I think as well, that's another thing about, you know, the way things are going, and, you know, maybe you've got too much on one side, too much on another. I don't know, it's about that balance. That's why I try and stay out of politics a lot now. But I think because you're just going to end up being, if you're on one side, then you're just going to end up being, you know, seen as, oh, well, you're against this, so you're wrong for this, sort of. And it's too much infighting, I think. Too much fighting on both sides. And
I think sides as well, in general, are like, you know, not great to have, you know, sort of like, you know.
See, if it's football, that's fine, but
that is all right, you know, that's like innate tribalism.
But I think
and like
politics is just, it's,
you know,
it's too like argumentative. It's too, and I know you've got to have arguments on both sides to try and win voters, but at the same time, it's just I'd rather stick to football and
absolutely.
Yeah, but you know, I always think that you know, I feel like my generation aren't unsupportive and all those sorts of things, you know. It's just like, yeah, you do you and stuff like that. But, you know, the whole thing about like, you know, people taking offence, it's like, I'm only asking a question. And then after a while, you sort of like, you think, what's going on, you know, and why is this like disconnect? And you know, it happened here and it happened at university. And I'd say, oh, what artwork are you doing? And you do this like rabbit in the headlights thing immediately, and you're sort of like going, the fuck's going on here? It's like someone's just turned a robot off, you know. And then it's just like, I'm on your side. It's just like, it's just because I don't sign up for your bullshit, you know, language that's coming out, you know. You know, it doesn't mean that I'm not on your side, you know. And I suppose I subscribe to this sort of like, I don't think it's a good idea to amp up the weakness inherent in as like, you know, oh, I'm vulnerable, you can't touch me or hurt me because I'm vulnerable and stuff like that. It's just like, mate, you're gonna have to toughen up. You know, it's like you need to adapt to the world, not the world needs to adapt to you. And I think that causes sort of like division, because it's just like, well, why is the red carpet out for this thing and stuff like that?
But speaking of remembering the past, I think, and you say about you was always on people's side when you was doing art, we have someone very special here today that is going to come and maybe you could reminisce about, you know, the good old times. You know, history is repeating itself.
Who's
Ladies
that?
and gentlemen, it's Dillon. Whoa.
Here he is.
Come
on, we just get him a chair. Let's get him a chair, don't we?
Absolutely.
Come on, Del, over you.
Can't have him sat down without a chair now.
You've got to sit on the floor. You're not an actual proper guest. You've got to sit on the floor, mate.
There you go. Sorry we couldn't get you a comfier one, but we wanted to surprise Will. Yes. There we go. Nice to see you.
Besides, you had the comfier one last time, so I think it's about right. Someone else has it.
Yeah, you were the star guest last time, weren't you?
Yes,
proper comfy jest.
These guys are like the new Ricky Gervais and Carl Pilkington.
Oh, would you not have been preferred to be merchant? I think we're the Pilkingtons.
How's your week, Carl? I'm so glad to have you back on, Dillon.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad to have you on a podcast together. Tell us, boys, what was it like during art and how did you meet each other?
So we met each other. I met you in level 1 while I was in level 2.
Yep.
Very good times.
Yes, and just took a shine to each other, didn't we? And like appreciating each other's artwork, having conversations about sort of like where we're going.
Yes.
You know, definitely bouncing ideas, and sort of. You're one of the world's sunshine rays, mate. You really are. Very proud of you.
Totally agree, man.
He's prolific.
He is. He's amazing.
It shames everybody's art. When I was here, I'm like going, yeah, I've got a nice full book of artwork and stuff like that. He's got 3 full books. I'm just like, yeah, all right, slow down, mate. You're making everyone else look bad.
So, in a way, Dillon was teaching you how to do art at one point then, by the sounds of it.
Teach you how to do life.
Manny, you're a very switched on young man
Yes.
for your age, man. I know I don't have a wealth of life experience, but I can tell that you're a very charming, wonderful young man, and we appreciate you coming on for a second time.
It's my pleasure.
You know, absolutely. So, speaking of which, so boys, did you ever collaborate on a project together?
Oh,
We haven't yet, have we?
Yeah. Remember that time?
Oh God, yes. The Hades one first.
Yes.
My bad. I was like thinking, like, for me, it's all about me. No, did Dillon collaborate on my thing? Oh no. Yes, but you are right. A couple of times, actually, wasn't it?
The Michael Caine Get Carter one.
Michael Caine Get Carter.
Yes.
No, you won't. I love that you appreciate all those classic films, Dill.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know, it breaks my heart, you know, when I speak to like young people nowadays and just go, right, so you remember in Terminator? And they're like, what? You're like, what? You've not seen Terminator? RoboCop? Predator?
No, I can say I'm in the same category.
Oh, John!
I've never seen those films. But then,
Caught now! Get off! Get off!
I'm a co-host. You can't get rid of me.
I can.
John, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write you a list of films that you must see.
Right. Well,
And like, you can treat it as your homework. because you know these sort of like spawned the generation. You know, my generation was all sort of like Arnie and Van Damme and Stallone and stuff like that, and you know the superstar.
Yeah, and you just look at today's generation. It's TikTok, Gen Z. Not for me. I mean,
I feel like
I'm not a fan of films, to be honest with you. Though I don't really watch a lot of. Then again, I don't really watch a lot of TV or anything like that.
Thing.
So, but I, you know, I'll go home and I'll just go on my Xbox and relax and yeah.
Nice.
If I ever want to watch anything, YouTube. So.
Do you know what? Ever since I got YouTube Premium, I watch YouTube mainly.
Yeah.
That is the same.
As soon as the adverts go, you're like.
You never look back. You never look back.
You don't.
You could never live without a subscription again, could you?
It's the same with Spotify.
Honestly, it's I've had a premium before, and it's so much different. Like you're watching it, and you don't even realise how polluted with adverts it was until you go onto it. And I just love the fact that you can continuously watch videos. You can download them. You can listen to music. You can, you know, I swear you can do extra things with content. It's amazing. It's honestly amazing. And you know, if it's a main source of watching things like it is for me, like for me, it's like I watch YouTube and I never watch telly. Never. Like I couldn't give a rat's arse if Phil Schofield comes back. Oh, Philip! Like I just.
You know what my brain said? Is he in EastEnders? Oh no, I do remember him.
Yeah. I just go.
That's Phil Mitchell. That one.
I mean, like me and John, we watch our soaps, but again, you could just go on iPlayer. Like TV's become. Well, it hasn't gone fully because I still think there's still a demographic, but it's not as prolific as it used to be. And you watch Terry Wogan and you watch, you know, all the other shows back in the day, Letterman, and you'd have George Michael on, you'd have, you know, people like John Lennon on and all that type of thing, and you just have all these celebrities on, and that was that. I mean, what we're doing now was back in the days. Versions of podcasts, wasn't it? But now you just go online and you just see your famous celebrity on podcasts. It's like, you don't need a TV show anymore unless it's someone like Robbie Williams. Do you know what I mean? It's A-list, as you know. Some I suppose are just avoid podcasts, but many of celebrities now have just come over and gone onto podcasts. It's like, I don't really need. I don't really feel like I miss TV. Do you know what I mean? It's, you know, plus the content is so much more engaging than television. Like people just know how to edit to Gen Z or just anyone. Like,
there's a lot more as well, I feel. If you look online, you go on YouTube, you go on like iPlayer and all that, there's a lot more on there than there is on TV, I feel. Because you just got, it's endless.
Absolutely, what you said.
The thing about TV is that it repeats all the same shows over and over again, no matter what. It like brainwashes the mind, it does, and it makes the brain sleep, it does. Like,
well, they did call it programming. So, you know, you don't want to go too conspiratorial theory or anything like that, but like, you know, you think about the Red Hot Chili Peppers, throw away your televisions. I remember Rick Mail going, turn off your TV now, seriously. You know, because like, you don't know, you know, we were talking about earlier, you know, before with the podcast about you turn your phone off for this, and you know, that whole thing about like, we don't even know what field they have going around them and stuff like that. You know, there's the blue screen, and like, you know, as I said, you know, their eyes are sort of rigged to, you know, our blue light programming is the dawn and throughout the day until the dusk, and then like, you know, your eyes sort of like see the orange light, don't they, of the sunset, and it's just like the brain's like going, right, we're going to be in bed in a couple of hours, but like no, you've got like phones, tablets, laptops, smart TVs and stuff that are just sort of like messing with all that, you know. And I mean, one of my advices, I'm terrible, just like with the YouTube, just stick some like YouTube stuff on. It's just rolling into the next one over and over. And YouTube doesn't stop. At least Netflix goes, are you still awake?
Yeah.
You know, after 3 episodes,
YouTube just
YouTube's like, oh, well, it's just...
we'll use his watch hours up.
Just sort of like fall asleep, and then it's like not good. What do they call it? Sleep health.
No, it's not.
You know,
I mean, there's all these frequencies, isn't there? Like we talk about mind frequencies, and you know, it's just like incredible once you put your mind to it and really appreciate how these work and how that works, and how you can listen to stuff on the radio to people that are miles away, and it just makes you think. When we talk about conspiracies, what's to stop controlling brain frequencies, you know, or tapping into scientific studies of what makes the brain focus and just glued to a television, which I believe that, you know, there's definitely been, you know, scientific studies that stuff is more appealing than others. Like, you can listen to a teacher ramble on for ages and ages and ages, never going to keep a class interested, right? Or most of the time, unless you're like, you know, exceptional. But when you listen to someone talk about the very same things, and if not other things on television, you're just glued to it. Explain that to me. Yes. Like that, how does that happen? Like you say, the 3G, 4G, 5G, or the blue lights that come out of the phones. It's there's got to be something to that, surely, isn't there? Like, what's your take on it?
What were you going to say, though?
I was originally going to say, like, when you're talking about like people getting glued to television screens, it reminds me of that one scene from Super Size Me where the American scientists did a study on the kids and they recognised more like fast food icons rather than political figures.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just there's so many things that, you know, you're not going to recognise anything that's too complicated, but you can recognise McDonald's. You look at McDonald's, you see it all.
Ubiquitous, though, isn't it?
Global.
Absolutely. You know, it's just weird how the brain works like that. You know, totally.
Yeah, but I mean, like you were talking about frequencies and stuff, and I haven't looked into it massively, but there's that whole thing about like the music frequency is set at 440, and the natural vibration of the planet is 432 hertz. So like just that bit out, and I need to look into it more, but it's like it was developed by Goebbels. Where you know when the Nazis were putting on like Olympic Games, and like everyone was like, actually they're all right and stuff like that. You know, it was, in those days, you know, it was just like you know, so, and then it's been, you know, perpetuated, and you know, so I don't know, as I said, you know, with these phones, you know, you got them in the pocket next to your bits, or like your breast pocket next to your bits, or, you know, and all that sort of thing. It's like, how good's that? And then, like, you know, they got rid of the wired headphones and stuff, which I actually prefer. You know, it's just like you plug your headphones in, you're laughing. You know, you're not worrying about them dying in 3 hours or something. But then Bluetooth headphones, you know, so like your bits and your brain, you know, are basically surrounded by fields of energy, and you know, they're definitely there, aren't they? Because you know, when you have like Bluetooth, I don't know whether you ever struggle with this, maybe because I've got cheap Bluetooth headphones, but you know, if you listen to them, you go past certain areas, they start cutting out and stuff like that, because like, I mean, what do you hit, like a big Wi-Fi sort of like mushroom that sort of like is messing with your connection or something like that? You know, I mean, you know,
So I've got a little segment coming up, and we do this with all the guests. So Dillon, you'll know this as well. We ask the guests who come on some quickfire questions, and they could be about anything, especially stuff related to you. So as you're a Leicester fan, there'll be a few Leicester City questions thrown in. So first game that you attended as a Leicester City fan?
Do you know what? I was quite late going to Leicester games and stuff. I think like when I was young, the family just didn't really have the money and stuff like that to do stuff. So I was definitely an adult, and it was actually the last game at Filbert Street, and it was a friendly against Celtic, who I kind of supported at the same time because Henrik Larsson played for them, and I was just like, you know, when a footballer makes just go, I'm in love with you. just like how cool you are.
I know what you mean.
Zlatan's just going to sit in the seat forever for me, I think, at the moment. But
you like your Swedes, by the sounds of it.
I like my Swede. Oh, I do like that. Yeah.
Because Henrik Larsson was Swedish, wasn't he?
It was, yeah.
something about them,
Swedish.
isn't there? They just have that confidence about them.
You say he
don't
was
they?
Swedish. He hasn't passed away yet, George.
I haven't indeed. No.
Henrik Larsson is Swedish, and he was a very good footballer. Apologies, Henrik, if you're watching.
And then you've got like the Norwegians, haven't you? Strand Larsen and Haaland and that. Badasses, aren't they?
Scandinavia's beautiful. Absolutely. I really, think that, because I was looking at my ancestry DNA and it was telling me, you've got a bit of Danish here and a bit of the old Viking. I was thinking, do you know what? I just love their culture. So I suppose, I don't know whether that's the DNA talking or whether it's the, in general, I just think they've just got such a cool culture. And like I say, the footballers are just built different from there. Absolutely. They're just, like you say, Zlatan just had that physical and confident presence about him.
Yeah.
Same with Henrik, to be fair. Henrik Larsson was a very confident footballer. And look at Haaland now. I mean, he's confident, but I think the confidence that Zlatan and Haaland display a little bit different, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they're still confident.
Zlatan's like half Serb as well, isn't he? So
Yes.
he's got a bit of that attitude going on as well.
A bit of bite.
Yeah.
Aggression in him.
Yeah.
You want to take
spirit.
him on a football pitch, put it that way. He's just
No, he's just like fly kick.
Yeah.
He's
He's like, I remember, was it Lascelles, fouled, no, it was Mings fouled Zlatan, and then Zlatan just stomped on his head on purpose, and the ref didn't see it, and I just thought, that's crazy. You
get proper done now, wouldn't you, for that?
You do.
Off camera and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh, actually, why they still try and simulate. It's just like, what the hell are you doing? Do you realise you've got like, all the cameras in the world looking at you?
You do. The camera here, camera there, it feels like a 3D camera circus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, at least you have to worry about VAR in the Championship next season.
Oi. That was a bit of a low blow, wasn't it?
Every cloud.
Guilty.
Yes. Favourite all-time Leicester City player?
We will never have to worry about VAR, I don't think.
See if you can guess.
Jamie Vardy.
No.
Kante?
Go more classic.
Muzzy, is it?
Lineker.
Gary Lineker.
Yeah. In fact, I
Stanley Collymore. Like him.
Emre Heskey.
love him. You know, I used to live around the corner from Dion Dublin's twin brother.
No way.
Proper close. Eddie, he's a good guy. So like walking down the street when I first moved there, I was just like, oh, fucking Dion Dublin. What the hell is that Dion Dublin? It wasn't, this is his brother, but like identical still as adults. But yeah, Lineker, I followed Lineker out of Leicester as well, so like I was a bit of a Tottenham supporter. I had the Holston thing with like the chevrons on the arm, and and I was like the Gaza days and stuff like that. Watched them go to Barcelona, even Japan and stuff. It's just like same with Zlatan. I supported United for a bit while Zlatan played for him. You end up being like, I'd say that most football fans are a fan of football in general.
Yes.
Then you've got your team as well.
Yep.
And then you've got fair play in there as well. And then you've got like footballers that you particularly take an interest in.
Absolutely.
And I think it's all under that umbrella. Like if Lincoln win a game and they've cheated and stuff like that, in your head there's an asterisk, isn't there, to that win?
Yes.
Even that, but you hear some people and they're just, that's probably why we hate United supporters. Over the line, any means necessary, and then they're just like, nothing to talk about. Let's go next game.
I have a mate that sits with me at the football, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say this as it is right now.
Under the bus, George.
Come on, James. I'm sorry, but I do agree with some of it. But every single ref that comes to Sinsel Bank, this referee is awful. I hate this referee. It's like, not every referee surely can be bad. Like, I get that, you have opinions and stuff, but not every ref in every... I don't get me wrong, there's still quite a few refs that are questionable in leagues, especially lower leagues, but not every ref can have a bad game, surely.
No.
And I think a lot of times it's just our passion speaking, whether we'd like to admit it or not. And of course, as you know, guys, I'm right all the time.
Yes. Sure you are.
No, I just think that I just think that we're all, when we get into it, of course there's going to be fouls where we're like, oh yeah, fair play, or it's going to be fouls of, oh, that was a bit too much, but that's just our biased talking, because we have that little element in all of us, don't we?
Well, you see these things getting pulled apart on Match of the Day, and like you sort of like, everyone's got a different opinion. It's just like, oh, that wasn't a penalty, and stuff like that. And then you'll go on like the analysis, and like, Shearer and everyone's like, oh, yeah, definitely a penalty. I'm like, what? It's just, sometimes I don't even listen to the pundits. When you're sort of, you don't like watching Match of the Day, you watch the game, you're like, right, okay, it's back to the studio, I'm going to make a cup of tea now, and stuff like that. Because like, we are the ultimate pundit.
Yeah,
we don't care if it's Neville and like Keane and Shearer and stuff like that. It's like, yeah. Well, I've got eyes and know how football's played.
I know how football played.
I remember when Leicester beat Chelsea in the FA Cup, I would have allowed Chilwell's goal for Chelsea if I was VAR. And I'm a Leicester fan. That would have been 1-1, and now they've gone on, and like, we could have potentially lost that. So yeah, it's the fair play, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. What about yourself, Dillon? What do you reckon about football in general, and do you ever get amped up and scream at the ref?
Not really, to be fair.
Don't lie, I saw you the other week.
Oh.
Effing and jeffing at the referees.
Now it's Dillon.
Definitely sounds like you.
It is
More
style.
like my best matey.
You definitely bring flares into the ground, don't you?
Yes.
Cans of Stella.
Football hooligan, doing what you're not supposed to do.
Well, I'm not a football hooligan in the 80s, though.
Well, no, it's not
Just
the
a modern
80s
day
now, is it?
ultra.
A modern day ultra. They're not called hooligans.
They're not
anymore.
casuals anymore.
They're not casuals, they're
ultras. Even though that's Italian. Like,
yes.
Italians, I always thought the Italians...
Not casuals, it's now 0 hour contract.
This culture, it used to be casuals back in the 90s, and
Yes.
the dress style was still the same, but nowadays you've got people going to games in goggles, and they're called ultras. Like they're not French, not French or Italian. It's not Calciopoli or
like
the
Stone
French
Island.
way of doing it. No, but it's, it's it's still the same, but it's just different name, and obviously the demographic is a lot younger now as well.
Yes. Obviously with Dillon, he likes all his the Beatles and the Lambrets, all the old school stuff.
Yeah.
He's an old school football hooligan. Takes darts to a game, sharpens 2p coins to a game.
Kicks heads.
Normally kicks the shit out of him around the corner before the game. What am I missing out? Am I missing anything?
Smoke a cigar.
Of course, smokes a cigar.
But then,
out in their eye.
And then after, because you're such a gentleman old school, you shake their hand after you've beat the shit out of them, don't you?
That's it,
After they're bleeding out.
His hand.
Chelsea smile, and then he's bleeding out to death. He's just like, there you go. Good fight, my friend.
Proper little hooligan, aren't you? I saw you at Birmingham on Saturday, giving it large to the Birmingham fans.
Oh, really?
Oh, man.
No, but
Those are Green Street programmes, man.
Yeah.
No, but it is cringe how these, I'm sure you've seen them, guys. They wear these goggles to the football. It's like, what happened to just... I mean, in general, football violence I've never obviously condoned.
Yes.
But back in the day, they at least dressed simple, and but nowadays it's just they're all in goggles.
What, like in the Burberry and like the Fred Perry and stuff like that? They had a uniform, didn't they?
They
that
did.
said to everyone else.
Uniform
we're up
today.
for it.
We're all, take it or leave it. But with
Today's
today's,
uniform.
it's just
Stone Island.
just look like a
Stone Island
Teletubby.
was
Just look like
then
a
as well.
drunken
Yeah.
Teletubby.
Stone Island, gazelles,
It's just-
jeans.
Weird.
Does it still go on then, like the violence? Because I don't really see anything.
Not at Lincoln.
I think the
Not
last time I
really.
saw any violence, and it disgusted me, was when Leicester played Forest in the league.
Yeah.
And like, we've got a weird thing with Forest. Leicester hate Forest and Derby. Forest and Derby hate each other, and aren't even aware that Leicester hate either of them.
No.
So, Leicester went up and smashed up Nottingham a bit and stuff like that. It was when we got thumped by Forest. They were in the lower league, but they
was
had
in the
Brennan
FA Cup
Johnson
game.
and Spence and all that lot playing for them. They absolutely smashed our heads in. I thought it was karmic. But like that was just like a load of idiots,
Usually is.
And it's weird. You watch all the stuff about like I watched a thing recently that was talking about the dark side of the rave era in the 90s, and that was sort of like my party days and stuff like that. So I was 17 in 1992. So it was talking about like Cass Pennant and like like Spurs, was it like Spurs firms and stuff, and like all those like hooligans sort of were like security sort of like basically like all the security you've seen any Guy Ritchie film, right? You keep your tongue and I'd keep my patience, how about that, like those kind of people, it was all sort of like all interwoven amongst itself, wasn't it? As the drugs came in and like and then you've got those like films like is it The Business, when like Danny dies in like in Spain and stuff. It's sort of like all those kind of blokes, ones that sort of like made too much trouble for themselves in the UK, gone to Spain, it's I don't know what the point is, but sort of like just like meandering around those sort of like past days, really.
I know what you mean.
Before my time.
Speaking of the reminiscing, like you speak about the 90s and the culture there. Did you, as a young lad, I'm sure you did you was you ever one to have parties and go out and live the culture up? Do you know what I mean? What was your young days like?
Well, because I was tall, I got into raves when I was quite young. 14.
Was you always a big lad?
When I was like 15, I was 5'11", so I was 6'9" now. But I've definitely had sort of like a late growth spurt. But back in the day, those puffer jackets had come out for the first time, so you didn't look like Mr. Strong, tiny little skinny legs, and then head on top. Sort of like kind of made you look a little bit more than you were, because
like a boxer,
it's like when you're a lad still, you're quite skinny, aren't you? Generally, and it's you start filling out as a bloke, and I initially didn't get to go to lots of sort of like things because I lived in a village, so it's basically like living in bloody Navenby or something like that, and how are you going to get to Lincoln to a rave sort of thing, so a bit of that went on. Just sort of then there were like free raves, illegal raves, and like as soon as I was old, like 17, 18, then I was away, and that would have been like 92 to 95 was sort of like me sort of getting into the sort of like rave era, and then it kind of like house and like the whole hardcore thing, the old rave split into drum and bass, hardcore, techno, house, D&B, garage, and then split again, it was a good era to be in.
Of course.
But main thing was just the freedom. No one was taking photographs of a rave and stuff like that. Someone might bring a Polaroid or one of those like disposable cameras or something like that, and so there wasn't really any footage. Whereas like nowadays, people get like had up by their it's just like you want a job at like Tesco, and well, I saw you at Creamfields. It's like no, we don't want your type here. And it's just like what? You want to play hard work, hard times, but good times. How are Lincoln getting on anyway?
Bipolar.
Yeah,
it's the best way I could put it.
What, you middle of the table?
Yeah, middle of the table.
Season's end by February, isn't it? Again, John. Like apart from last season.
What does that mean?
But basically, when I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but being a Lincoln supporter, there's been a few seasons in League Two, even I'm sure, but like there was a few seasons recently where it's like I just have this saying of it's over by March, because we get mid-table and you just know you're not going to get relegated, but you're not going to get promoted.
Yeah,
you just kind of like it seems meaningless in a way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
You ever been in that situation?
Yeah.
It's just one of them moments, and that's kind of how it's been. I mean, a lot of division in the fan base, I'm sure you...
At the moment, currently, yeah. There is a little bit of division, there's a little bit of, different opinions and stuff, but it's football and, just got to think, well, I believe we've got to go and just try and end the season as strong as we can. I mean, get a couple of results, get to 50 points, which should be enough for safety, and then we'll go from there and rebuild in the summer, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, one question, what is the division? Second question, I suppose statement is the fact that you've got to keep turning up and putting a shift in, haven't you? Because you never know, you're not going to get promoted or anything like that, but you'll see people, you'll attract people that are probably all right to come to a club, or like people that are coming from the Championship down and stuff like that have still got legs in them, youngsters that got legs in them, and that can hopefully become like a big fish in a small pond and all that sort of stuff. And it's the thing about life is it's all about the stuff that's all the good stuff you don't even know is whispering around you and stuff like that. And if you think, I know I've segued out of football here, but if you're just sort of like, bollocks this, I'm going to go home, just like watch YouTube, fuck the day off and stuff like that. But if you go, oh no, I'll go to that art talk, I'll go and see that person, I'll go and look at these new pages, stuff like that. It's like meeting people that you never knew you were going to meet, because how would you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, I've segued into a bit of advice there, but always be positive and sort of just keep sort of going up, because you just don't know what sort of just plug into you, an angel will tell you notice you and that's it. Let me see if Mbappe wants to go to Lincoln for a bit.
I mean, I know what you mean. I mean, we kind of started this podcast and it's given us no end of stuff. I mean, I hadn't seen my mate Jack, who did a podcast the other day with. I never not seen that mate Jack in months. Probably not would have met him anytime soon, but met him for the podcast and we reminisced. Same with you, were we might. I'm sure we would have seen each other, but we might have not seen each other for a while or whatever, but now we have. So it just, and Dillon today, yes. I'm glad to have a chat with you. It just opens up the whole world, doesn't it? When you try and get opportunities, and especially for you, John, this is definitely good starting blocks for your portfolio if you want to do sports journalism. At least because you're doing sport, at least now you've got that door open to you, haven't you, of sports journalism, if sport becomes a bit because we've all had interests where we've gone, maybe that isn't the path for me.
Yes.
I just feel that it's good to be, not necessarily multi-talented, but open-minded to new things, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And that's what we want to do. We want to open ourselves up and introduce this to new audiences, and we're putting ourselves out there, we're being noticed, the guests are being noticed, and us as hosts, co-hosts, we're being noticed. So the views are going up as well. We got over 100 views on the last one.
We did. Ooh, that's gone up since I last watched it.
A big increase, actually, because one of my friends looked at it this morning out of curiosity, and we've had a big increase from the first few episodes. So
yeah, we have, haven't we?
We're going up, and I think this is good for us because we're showcasing ourselves and we're putting ourselves out there, and the audience.
It's good for these guys as well. Absolutely, it's good for you two. Putting yourselves out there. I mean, people, might look at both of these art and go, do you know what? And it might open opportunities for you, or it might, there might be loads of things that could come for all of us. So it's really interesting. Like you mentioned, 100 views on the videos, which to PewDiePie or Mr Beast, he might just go off. But to us, it's massive, and hopefully we can grow. I'm sure Mr Beast is a lovely guy, by the way. But do you know what I mean? It's the comparison. But we got on our TikTok the other day, John. We got over 2,000 views on this one here, on Dillon's. And on one of Dillon's ones as well, where he talked about the art. So your art has been seen by thousands of people, and as well, you know, John, when we was doing Corrie characters, 2,000 people, it's just crazy. Once you put it into perspective like that, there's so many opportunities.
Just Corrie characters are EastEnders characters, by the way. I can do other voices, but
Yeah, that's a good one, actually. Yeah.
Put myself out.
You've thrown it. This, like I say, you're scared of roller coasters rides, but this is a ride you cannot avoid, John. Speaking of which, any impressions that you two are really good at? I think we heard from you, Dillon. So we'll start with Will. Here we go.
It's a weird one, isn't it, when you get put on the spot? You're just it's funny, actually. It's so I feel like I can do Brian Cox.
Yeah.
As we look into the infinite cosmos, we find each star is blooming with light.
That's pretty decent.
And then Attenborough.
Yeah.
When we go to Africa, to the great savannah, we see that the pride of lions is at top of the predator tree.
You've definitely got the dialogue there.
You've got to get that right.
Yeah.
And then, but the one that sort of
dialogue.
like is, you know, you always want to get good on is the walking impression. I'm not good at that, but like, you know, I'm sort of like learning it. You know, it's very, very difficult.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. John does. Well, I suppose we both have done it before, but John does an amazing Irish impression, don't you, John?
Yeah, a little bit better with the Southern Irish impression. The Southern Irish accent's a bit better to do. But,
it absolutely is. I'm more Northern Irish.
Well, when you go north, it becomes very harsh. Very harsh.
Yeah. Very harsh. Yeah. Like a car Frampton.
Listen to Johnny Evans chat.
Johnny Evans chat.
Well, we stopped and getting in the box. We did. You know, like, oh, yeah.
No, I prefer the Southern, Republic of Ireland accent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's thank you, Johnny, is what the Northern Irish is saying to you right now. I prefer the Northern Irish. I tell you, there's a lot. I know what you mean, now, John.
Try
like
to remain politically neutral.
Impressions wise, yeah, I know what you mean. It's a more like
easy
lovely to
do.
Listen to. Yeah,
I think it comes as, you know, you obviously meet people from Ireland, and you pick up obviously if you watch football interviews and players and managers, a lot of players and managers are Irish, so you'll like obviously pick that up. Yeah. We once had a manager at Lincoln called Mark Kennedy, and he was an interesting character, and in his Irish accent, he'd say a lot of things like Rome wasn't built in a day.
Rome wasn't built in a day. That's what it was.
Yeah, so stuff like that, and you don't know football and stuff like that.
Oh, he said that.
In his like thick Irish accent.
He'd go, if you think that all defensive football is negative, then you don't know football. And he said that live, and Riley's watching this creasing right now because he loved that moment. I did as well. I just like, oh my God. He's like, you don't know football. Lincoln supporters, and it's like
it reminds me of like that League of Their Own thing when they're like talking about like quotes from Jamie Redknapp, and it's just like in my playing career I've never seen a better midfielder than Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard. You know, it's like his single best midfielder. Owen Lampard.
It's either one or the other at the end of the day. You can't have both.
No,
it was, but like it's just how he said that like there's no one better than Gerrard and Lampard. It's like.
Then again, if he's in theory, Frank Lampard is family to him, so he's kind of going to say that.
Is he?
Yeah, they're like cousins.
Really?
Jamie Redknapp.
Oh yes, they're family.
Harry Redknapp's son, and Harry Redknapp. There's relation between Harry Redknapp and Frank Lampard somewhere. I can't remember what sort. I think Harry Redknapp might be Lampard's uncle. I might be wrong.
You know what? My brain immediately went. Was he shagging Frank's dad? Harry and Frank's dad.
Somewhere along the lines, and Harry Redknapp, who obviously he's related to Jamie's dad, and obviously there's something to do with him being related to Frank Lampard. So yeah, interesting fact of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. That totally. I mean, you get a lot of family members in football. Do you remember Raphael and Fabio, that's it.
Yes.
Fabio.
The twins.
The two twins.
Twin defenders.
Yeah.
Was that Gerard Deulofeu and what's his name that plays for Villa now? They've got different surnames, but they're brothers, I think.
There's a few Spanish players at Villa.
What's the French guy that plays for in the Lucadinha?
Lucadinha, that's it.
Yes, he's related to Gerald Deulofeu, who used to play for Hull.
Oh yeah.
To do me impressions without getting embarrassed, so George can cut it out.
Go on and do some.
Well, I can do Harry Redknapp.
Yeah, go on then.
Harry Redknapp's Nico Cranger and Jermaine Defoe and Peter Crouch, the terrific players, terrific characters in the dressing room, and terrific people, not just terrific footballers, they're terrific people, like terrific characters. Sandra, where's my gem roly-poly?
You know what? You just immediately reminded me of like that time where Redknapp says that he met Slavan Bilic, the old manager, an old manager.
Which one, Jamie or Harry?
Harry.
Oh,
he met him in like an airport.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Oh, Slavan, I haven't seen you for ages, mate. Come and have a coffee with me. Come and have a coffee with me." And he like went off and took him for a coffee.
Yeah.
And he's like going, "Oh, what you up to?" and stuff like that. It turned out it was just a random bloke that just looked like Slavan Bilic. And like Redknapp had fucking taken him for a coffee, sat him down, was like, "What are you up to? Where are you managing now?" "Oh, my name's not Slavan." He was like, "Oh, right." Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, that is hilarious. I mean, I honestly, there is so many lookalikes in football and stuff like that. My last question about the football before we wrap up then. Is there any footballers that you've ever been compared to in your lives, like that you look alike? Or any celebrities? Let's expand the question.
I've got a friend who looks like Liam Delap, the Ipswich striker.
Yes, you have.
Spitting image of Liam Delap.
What about yourself, John? Who do you look like?
No, I wouldn't say. Obviously, because of my surname, people.
Looks a bit like Tyler Dibblin.
Tyler, yeah.
Tyler Dibblin.
I can see that.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
I'll have to have a look at that.
Tyler Dibblin.
No one said that to me.
Yeah, who's he
before,
play for Ipswich?
Southampton, I
Southampton,
think.
of course he does. Yeah.
He's also related to the Fowlers of Liverpool, so Robbie Fowler.
Oh, I mean, yeah, my dad's a famous.
You're not so enamoured by it now, are you? Just change your mind, actually. Try someone else.
What about yourself, Will? Who have you been compared to?
Always Crouchy, because of the height.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
blonde.
I can see it. Do you know what else I can see? Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, you know what? I can
see
Fuck off.
It's fucking raw.
He's sort of like, talking about impression. It's like, very good restaurant. Shit fucking food. Let's get back in there.
Literally, impression and lookalike. Here we go.
What about you, Dillon?
Tora Andre Flo.
Gordon Ramsay on stilts.
Tora Andre Flo.
Yeah, that was another one as well. Yeah,
Chelsea.
I suppose. Yeah. No, I see that now. Yeah.
They're the two, Crouch and Flo.
That's true.
Definitely Gordon
Go on,
Ramsay.
Dillon. Who do you look like?
As well, I think you remind me a lot of Arnie Schwarzenegger.
Oh,
I can see.
yeah, I see what you mean, actually.
Oh,
You are right. Pretty much spend the same amount of time in the gym.
Of course, yeah.
Hasta vista, baby. Or
Stick around.
the celebrities that I'm compared to the most has to be Ian Curtis of Joy Division,
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you an offer that you can't refuse. Forget about it. And a bit of John Lennon.
That bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes
I think it's the
Robert-
glasses, isn't
The
it?
glasses do it for me,
Yeah.
I think. Definitely the glasses.
Fucking hell, we've got like Marlon Brando, John Lennon, Brad Pitt as well. Should have Brad Pitt, Johnny Depp.
Aretha Franklin.
and a bit of Robert De Niro.
Yeah, alright.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Hey, come on, man.
Go on, George. Who have you been compared to?
I hope it ain't true, but some people, depending on how I styled my hair, some people went, "Oh, you look like Harry Maguire," and which I don't see personally.
I'm not sure.
You know, like, Maguire's are sort of like.
Yeah. I suppose
You're right, Barry? Yeah, just had my birthday. Is it nice? Yeah.
that is true.
You know, you're not.
Well,
like,
I'm very
so like,
relieved.
you're not got that. He's too polished as well. They had an interview, didn't they, on the iPlayer, like, you know, those little 6-minute interviews with like Maguire, and his answers were just so polished about like Amorim and stuff. But I suppose you have to give these people a bit of a go. I was thinking actually, like your Rome wasn't built in the day line and stuff like that. It'd be interesting to find out how long it took Rome to be built, and then like if you get a manager that's like Rome wasn't built in a day. No, it took 170 years, mate. Is that how long you need to turn this fucking team around?
Well,
Good on that.
yeah, that's brilliant. Any last departing comments for the podcast, guys?
Well, it's great to see you all. Lovely to meet you, John.
Good to meet you too.
Good to see you boys again. Yeah, have a bit of a chit chat about football and life, and
Absolutely.
let's have a look at your artwork.
Oh yes.
Oh yes,
Brought it in. I mean,
yes. And then we just we kind of. There we go.
Mate, your caricatures are excellent.
There they are.
Mate, that is nice. Who are they?
So basically, I based them on some friends that I know.
Okay.
And so they've modelled for me. So they are the glamour girls of the 1950s. And the glamour girls are like the symbolisation of female empowerment and like embracing sexuality and like individualism of the 1950s.
Yeah.
And the details are like associated with like the societal and technological advancements of the 50s.
Yeah.
Like the big television, Marilyn Monroe, John's crush, Cattrell Britain.
Thanks.
The royal family, the mini car, refrigerators, the fridge that George goes into,
Nice.
and
Cheeky.
rock and roll.
Yeah. So you got a bird's eye there. They're called women nowadays, mate. You know, so like you might get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
That's absolutely brilliant.
It is really good.
It is. It's really a good piece. It's a pleasure to show it.
Yeah.
Pleasure to show it 2 times, Dillon. In all honesty, well, thank you so much. Thank you very much for coming on. Been a pleasure, Dillon.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Will.
Nice one.
And of course, thank you very much.
Nice one, John.
Thank you very much, John.
The lovely co-host.
We're all shaking it.
We all shake it, absolutely. We're all gentlemen here. Yeah, thank you very much. You know, more episodes of the Wee Weekly Free coming soon. Will Cattrell, is there any social medias you'd like to plug?
Well, it's William Cattrell Art. Yeah. So like, I'll give you the proper thing for my Instagram, and then you can put it on your when you put it on, can't you?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So, any socials you want people to follow, contact you?
Dillon would also have art on Instagram.
Yeah, brilliant.
And this guy is the allergy of art.
Thank you.
Well then, thank you very much. And you can always contact me and John on at Gritty Teeth in at GE_LCFC on Instagram, and John Fowler is John Fowler. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure.
Nice.
Peace out. Brilliant.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, guys.
No, it's good.
That was good.
Do you want a mint, Bill?
Well.